Welcome to the Jay Martin Show. My name is Jay Martin, and my guest today is Gerald Celente. He's the founder of the Trends Journal. Now, since the early 90s, Gerald has been tracking and forecasting geopolitical, economic, and financial trends, both here at home in North America and worldwide. So today, we jumped into a few of his favorites, whatever's front and center for him, most importantly being the increasing trajectory of both centralization and control, and what that means to things like life, liberty, and happiness, the characteristics that Gerald says are what made the United States the globally competitive and dominant player that it is today, and such a pleasant place to live. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Gerald. As always, beneath this video in the description, there's a link where you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter. I publish every Sunday. I share my key takeaways from conversations just like this and plenty others, and I absolutely love writing it. The link is right below. I'd love to have you join the team. All right, here's Gerald Celente. Enjoy.
This is Jay Martin.
All right, welcome back to the Jay Martin Show, and I'm joined once again by Gerald Celente. Gerald, it's really good to see you.
Oh, it's great being on with you. Thanks so much, and thank you for all that you do.
It's fun. Now, I'm looking forward to this conversation. There's a handful of directions I want to go with you. You know, as I was preparing for this, an interesting question that I wanted to start with today is when you think about what it is that originally made the United States the globally dominant and competitive nation that it became, what strikes you as those, first, second, or third things that stand out?
Oh, very simple. It's called the Declaration of Independence: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness? Who the hell are you talking to? I'm the governor of California. Lock down your business. Stay in your house. I'm a little daddy's boy born on third base. Andy Cuomo. My daddy was Mario, and I'm renaming the Tappan Zee Bridge after him. Lock down your business. Stay in your house. Happiness? They suck the joy out of life. Liberty? How dare you not swallow the crap that I spew out? That's misinformation. You won't swallow my crap. Life? They suck the joy out of it. Liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That's what America used to be. And it's gone. This country is on such a downward slide. And again, I'm a political atheist. I don't take sides in this stuff. At a graduate school, I was running major political campaigns in Westchester County. Angelo Martinelli became the longest running mayor of Yonkers. I worked on DAs, a DA, congressman, the whole thing. They were grooming me. I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. I've been with presidents, prime ministers, and princes. I've been on the other side. I know what a freak show it is. Who's your favorite freak telling you what to do? That's not my America. So it breaks my heart to see what happened to this country. Go back to the Roaring 20s. Mm-hmm. Roaring 20s. Oh, yeah. When the women were all dressed up sharp and the guys are cool. Oh, the Great Depression. You mean swing time? Big bands? Everybody looking terrific? And now it's a slob show. Look what the people look like. You got again, only going by the data. Again, they're forcing young kids, newborns, to get vaxxed now for COVID. Again, these are CDC numbers. Oh, by the way, the clown playing the head of the CDC got the virus after she got totally vaxxed. Anyway, 2 years, there are about 73 million 1 to 17-year-olds in America. 693 allegedly died of the virus in 2 years. Wait a minute. You're telling me like 700 people out of 70 million died? And you're making them wear masks and vaccinated? Oh, and by the way, 60% of those who were hospitalized were obese. Going back to what America is and what it was. What's your favorite crap food? McDonald's? No, I like Popeyes. This whole country's gone down so much. So when you tell me what the America used to be, it was the land of opportunity. And now it's Walmart, it's Costco, it's
Yeah.
Home Depot, it's Staples. All we are plantation workers on the global plantation of Slavelandia.
So that Declaration of Independence and what it stood for, I think allowed for a culture, right, to become the most entrepreneurial at that time relative to the world, right? And embrace this like zero fear of failure mentality. I mean, that's when I think about what made the United States great. That's it. It's risk takers, right? Individuals who were comfortable striking out and blazing a new trail. And when they failed, there was no shame. Like comparative cultures, maybe in Japan, there's a lot of shame around failure. That doesn't exist in America. We're encouraged, right, to charge forward at all costs. When you get knocked out, get up and charge forward at all costs. Now, the trends that you're discussing, more control, less liberty, are absolutely occurring in the United States and in Canada, where I am 100%, but they're also occurring globally. And so I got to ask the question, like, relative to the rest of the world, is the United States still holding that ground? I'll let you take it. What do you think? Relative to
No,
where
what
else
are
you
you
could live?
kidding? Hey, what are you kidding? No, you're censored from everything you want to say. You know, everybody hates Alex Jones, InfoWars. And the New York Times headline story was, you know, Alex Jones fined, you know, like what, almost $1 billion for lying about Sandy Hook. Oh, lying? How many people did Alex Jones kill? Nobody. How about a little, again, a little daddy's boy with a pair of cojones smaller than a mothball, a stupid little freak, George W. Bush, who lied America along with, I can't use the word dick, so I'll be proper, penis Cheney, Wolfowitz, one little clown after another, lying America into the Iraq war, that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al Qaeda. How come they don't bring them up on trial? I had a peace and freedom rally here in Kingston, New York, on the most historic four corners in America. I own 3 buildings, pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. On July 23rd, Scott Ritter, Gary Null, Judge Andrew Napolitano, and Phil Giraldi were the speakers, and myself. Phil Giraldi was a top CIA operative who goes into the Oval Office when Bush is president, shows them the data that Saddam Hussein does not have weapons of mass destruction. Bush tells him to leave, and Phil Giraldi quit. The entire CIA knew that there were no weapons of mass destruction. Scott Ritter, top guy for the United Nations, nuclear armaments inspector, no weapons of mass destruction. They don't get brought up on trial. You're censored for not swallowing the crap. Again, believe, don't believe, whatever you want to believe. Now it's censorship. You only are allowed to say what they shove down your throat. America is turned into a communist, fascist state. Fascism in the meaning of the merger of state and corporate powers.
Okay.
Hey, I'm too big to fail. Federal Reserve dumps in $29 trillion between 2007 and 2010 into the central banksters. Hey, the repo market. What's a repo market? Don't worry about it. They need cheap money. The Federal Reserve dumps in $7 trillion between September 2019 to January 2020. The merger of state and corporate powers is fascism, according to a guy by the name of Benito Mussolini. Mm-hmm. So it's communism in the sense that they rob you of all your rights and freedom, and fascism that they let the bigs control and own everything.
So whenever we've seen that merge in history, I call it like increased centralization, right? When the state merges with corporations, when centralization expands, you just increase the vulnerability of the system, the fragility of the system, because all of the interdependencies that are then created, right? Each domino that falls now hits 100 other dominoes. When in a fractured, decentralized system, you're protected against the failing of your neighbor. Like an analogy I like is the restaurant industry, for example. A restaurant can fail and restaurants as an industry aren't impacted. In fact, they're improved because we learn from the restaurant that failed, right? When we have these massively centralized systems like banks, when one fails, it's always systemic, right? And so it's fragile by nature when you centralize. So if we're going, and tell me if you think I'm out to lunch on that one, but if that's the direction that we're going, increased centralization, the track record is not good. Historically speaking, it's horrible of any case of a government or a nation centralizing. What is the bet against centralization? How do you short that system, Gerald? Where do you put your wealth, put your cash, organize your portfolio? What do you do with your life?
I don't provide financial advice. I'm not allowed to because we're not registered in doing such. For only speaking for myself.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, and Bitcoin. That's about it for me.
Yeah.
And gold, number one. Gold should be off the charts. And when you're looking at the ultimate safe haven asset, it's gold. And the only reason the dollar is strong is because all the other currencies are so weak. I mean, look what just happened. There was big news that the European Central Bank, raised their interest rates the most, their highest now in 10 years. What are they now? They were about 1.50 interest rate, and what do you have an inflation rate there? 9.1%?
Sure.
And the euro goes down on that, even though they raised it. And the only reason the dollar is strong is because the other currencies are so weak. Europe is in dire straits with the sanctions that they put on Russia that are driving energy costs up. In Italy, according to the business commission there, over 100,000 small and medium-sized businesses are going out of business this year because of increased energy prices and the effects of the COVID war. Italy was the first one to follow the communist way and lock down the place. And again, I write a magazine, the Trends Journal, and we only put facts in, facts. The average age of the people dying in Italy were 81 years old.
Yeah.
You're going to live forever. You know that. I mean, 81, the average age death in America is like 78. But they locked down. They had one of the strictest lockdowns. So they destroyed. The damage that has been done by the COVID war is incalculable. It has destroyed the lives and livelihoods of billions of people across the planet. So now going back to centralization. Will the dominoes fall when one keeps falling? Yes, but they rig the system to do everything they can to artificially prop it up, like they did with the COVID war. Why is inflation like this?
Mm-hmm.
With the United States, only $8 trillion of phony money they pumped in? Central banks having zero and negative interest rate policy? When I thought the markets would crash again in 2012. Oh, Celente, you got it wrong. Yep, I got it wrong. They didn't teach me about quantitative easing or zero interest rate policy in Economics 101 or graduate school. They made up this crap. They'll do anything. Get this in your head, everybody. These are murderers and thieves. They're the Bloods and the Crips that morons and imbeciles in America call the Democrats and the Republicans. Murderers and thieves will do anything to steal and kill to get anything that they want. So they'll make up anything.
Quick break, then we'll get back to the interview. In the description of this video is a link where you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter. It's free and I love writing it. This week, for example, what I wrote about was a traditional role in society that we've lost, known as the sacred clown. In historic Lakota culture, for example, and many others, there was a role known as the Hayoka, and the Hayoka's purpose was to make fun of everybody and everything all the time to prevent egos from running away or people taking themselves or their ideas too seriously. Now, we've lost that role in society today because those people get canceled, and that's a problem. So I read about things like this. I'd love to have you join the team. It's super fun. Link in the description. Now back to the interview. Enjoy. So with the Trends Journal right now, Gerald, where are you focusing most of your attention? What are the most impactful and significant stories that you guys are covering?
Well, we cover everything in the sense that from environment to, to high tech, to technocracy, to healthcare and nutrition. And now the big one, of course, is the Ukraine war. One of my sayings is when all else fails, they take you to war. The global economy, we are going to go through a global socioeconomic and geopolitical crisis unprecedented in modern history. And now they're normalizing nuclear warfare. So when they normalize it, it's on the horizon. Again, when I say that when all else fails, they take you to war, I'll go back to World War II. Oh, you mean the World War II that followed the Great Depression? Oh, you mean the dot-com bust? That one day before 9/11, the NASDAQ was down 66%, and then everybody forgot about it. Again, they believed the little moron, stupid George W. Bush. 88% of the people swallowed the crap spewing out of that little arrogant clown's mouth. We're going to get that guy Osama bin Laden, dead or alive. I'm not making that up. Again, Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. The economy goes down. They keep pumping it up. They get the people's minds on war, and the people forget about the disasters of the economy. So now the United States, if the next congressional bill goes through, will have sent $115 billion to Ukraine to keep bloodying the killing fields and keeping the war going. And the people don't know the data. Here, this is a Trends Journal from 2014. See how happy that guy looks? It's the United States overthrow of the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine in 2014. Yeah. All the details here. People don't know about that. They don't know about the Minsk agreement. They don't know about the deal that between Gorbachev and Reagan and Bush Sr. that NATO would not move 1 inch further. There were 16 NATO countries. Now there are 30. They have no clue. So again, totally against the war, totally understand why it happened. And the United States, of all the nations in the world, the most bloodiest, murderous country since World War II. Nobody comes close. You like the Korean War? I like the Vietnam War. I only killed over 3 million in Vietnam. Sprayed Agent Orange all over the place, poisoned people. I like the Iraq War. Which one? Oh, both of them. The first Gulf War and the Iraq War, mission accomplished. I like the Afghan War. It only went on for 20 years. What America's killed millions of people, spent trillions of dollars. The number they're coming out with between the Afghan and Iraq wars is $8 trillion. Over 1 million people killed in Iraq, destroyed the place. Those dirty Russians, we got to stop them. What hypocrisy. And the people swallow the crap. Go to the toilet paper of record. They call themselves the paper of record. What crap. The New York Times. Go back to Monday. Front page picture, guy doing push-ups with no legs. A Ukrainian soldier, legs blown off. Open it up. 2 pages of soldiers with no arms, no legs. Ukrainian. How sad this is. Yeah, it's terribly sad. How come the New York Times wasn't covering day after day after day all the Iraqis that got their arms and legs blown off and heads blown off, all the Afghans and all the American soldiers? Nothing, nothing. Matter of fact, you had to be an embedded reporter. You got to be in bed with them in America to go into the foreign countries, and they tell you what, when they're at war, and tell you what to write. I'm telling you how the people are swallowing this. So when the war breaks out, I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, Yankee Doodle do or die.
Now, Gerald, I got to ask, like, how much of that is just inherent in human nature? And I align with you on the repulsive nature of war, 100%. I struggle to find any examples of empires who haven't operated that way, going back through Roman, Persian, Ottoman, British, etc. The last great empire on this continent was the Comanche Empire. And before they were defeated, they went on a 200-year killing spree, dismantling the Apaches and the Navajo brutally. Everybody in the continent was terrified of a Comanche raid. They knew what it meant. It meant torture and death. So I'm led to question, like, do we ever escape this cycle? I mean, that's what I'm thinking, I suppose, is this cycle any different from the 1,000 prior to, and can we ever escape it? Or is this just human nature, an aspect of human nature's quest for power, and what comes as a consequence of that?
Will we ever escape it? It's up to the people. And I agree with you 100%. It's been going on since the beginning of time. And where are all the religions now? Where are the Mormons? Where are the Baptists? Where are the Catholics? Where are the Jews? Where are the Episcopalians? Where are the Seventh-day Adventists? Where are all these people? How come they're not talking about peace? Well, they got lockjaw. You can't talk about peace. What God do you believe in? What God believes in war? Tell me the God that believes in war, all you devout Christians and other religions. Tell me. Tell me. This is satanic. It's demonic. I started a church, the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. I got the domain name freedompeacejustice.com. freedompeacejustice.com. Could you imagine that I got that domain name in 2021? freedompeacejustice.com should have been taken in 1994 when the whole internet revolution began. That shows you how those three words aren't part of the culture. So unless we have a renaissance of a higher level, it's going to be hell on earth. Even Business Insider, what a bunch of crap. They have duck and covered what to do when a nuclear bomb goes off. New York City ran a whole thing. These are 3 things you do when a nuclear bomb explodes. Now, don't just do what we tell you to do. What, are you kidding me? I'll be dust. When I was a kid, they had us hiding under a desk in case a nuclear bomb went off, an atom bomb. Oh, again, in America, talking about the horrors of Russia. How many people did Harry Truman kill in Nagasaki and Hiroshima with the atom bomb when the war was over in Japan? Only a couple of 100,000. I'm telling you, what people, as I said before, what people have to understand is that the people that are running and ruining our lives are mentally ill. One of the covers of the Trends Journal a few weeks ago was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And we had the White House there. And our artist, Anthony Fried, is a genius. And he took out White House and put Nut House.
Okay.
These are insane asylums. People, again, I was there. I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. I'll show you a picture. I picked up Ronald Reagan at the Chicago Hilton, 1976. I'm 30 years old. I was the #2 guy running a major trade association. He was our keynote speaker 2 days before he's announcing he's running for president against Gerald Ford. I've been with the princes. I've been with Major, the clown from the UK. I've been there. I'm telling you, these are mentally ill people. I'll tell you my conversation. We're coming down the elevator in the Chicago Hilton. I put on a brunch for about 16 of our board of directors. And in those days, you got in a taxi cab going over to McCormick Place. We have a big trade show going on. And Reagan goes right into Chicago, the Windy City, the gateway to the West. 3 cliches, one after another. And he goes to me, how do you like Chicago? I said, in 3 years, in 1 year, I said, I made 3 mistakes. I bought a Chrysler, I got married, and I moved to Chicago. He didn't find that funny. Anyway, we have nobodies telling us what to do, and they're only in there for power. Look what just happened in America. The so-called progressives party, the caucus, came out and said that there should be a peace treaty between Ukraine and Russia. After getting hit for saying that, these little arrogant, cowardly, low-life pieces of scum crap backlashed on it. Oh no, that letter went out in that we wrote that in the summertime. A lot has changed since then, and we support Ukraine. And every one of these disgusting Democrats voted for $40 billion of weapons of death to send over to Ukraine. What progressives, regressives. They're cowardly little slime. Anybody that wants to go to Ukraine and supports them, put on your military drag, grab your gun, take yourself, your wife, your kids, your genders, whatever, take your money and go fight the war between two countries where a border dispute's been going on for about 300 years. Or shut your mouth.
So that letter that came out, I know what you're referring to, and it was sort of a left-leaning expression of opposition to the war. It received a tsunami of backlash. Can you elaborate on what that was for anybody who's not familiar? Gerald, what was the event you were just discussing?
Yeah, the letter came out from the Progressive Caucus, and they sent a letter to Biden that they should really try to negotiate a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, because the damage being done in Ukraine and it's not getting anywhere. It's only getting worse.
So this was a portion of the Democratic Party essentially saying we're opposed to this war.
Only 30 of the so-called Progressive Caucus.
Okay.
Then when they got the backlash, one after another, they retracted it. Oh, I signed this back in June. Since everything's happened since then, I would never have agreed to that. And the clown lady that's the head of the thing said, well, the letter went out by mistake. Our staff sent it out by mistake, and I would have never approved it. And we support everything that's going on. We support the Biden administration, and we support Ukraine to the end.
It was a weird turn of events. It was very strange how quickly they pivoted from what they stated in their letter to walking all of it back. It was very quick, very fast.
They're cowards. You got it? They're gutless, little, freaky cowards. Look at them. These people couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. And the ones that love it are mentally ill.
So, Gerald, if this is the inevitable and unavoidable cycle of human nature and our quest for power, there's always going to be that. It's never going away, right? You accrue a little bit, you want a little bit more. This is how we have leadership across states. What do you do? Like personally, how are you retaining your sovereignty, right? How do you separate yourself from all that noise, right? To retain control and direction over your destiny. What do you do?
Well, if you saw my place over here, I have over 200 plants.
I know.
In my building.
Yeah.
That I take care of all of them.
All right.
I have 3 pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings on the most historic 4 corners in America, and I hold peace and freedom rallies. I launched Occupy Peace, the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. I fight as much as I can. But what I also do is I stay in the best health that I can, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Every day I love to cook. You think I want to work out every day? No, I'll be 76 years old in the end of November. I don't want to become an inmate in a nursing home. Again, I surround myself with beauty. I take care of all the plants. I clean the place. So I get my mind off it as much as I can, but I also concentrate it on it as much as I can. We give our subscribers everything we can in the Trends Journal. I've never worked harder in my life because I'm a trend forecaster and I look ahead. And what I see is hell on earth if we don't stop this soon, because there's going to be either it's a false flag or a nuclear exchange. They asked Albert Einstein, World War III has already begun. This isn't a proxy war. If I said to you, hey, listen, Jay, I need some guns. Give me a couple of hand grenades. I want to blow this guy's brains out across the street over here. Yeah, okay, Gerald, here it is, and here's more. Are you an accessory to the crime?
I would say so.
Yep. So by America and NATO giving all these weapons to Ukraine, they're at war with Russia. It's not a proxy war. World War III has begun. They asked Albert Einstein, what kind of weapons will be used to fight the Third World War? He said, I don't know. This is a guy that knew a thing or two about the atomic bomb. He said, they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the fourth.
Yeah.
Look at the imbecile moron dopes that are building bomb shelters. Isn't it going to be lovely to come out of a bomb shelter after nuclear explosions destroy the earth? Oh, life is going to be so wonderful. You did the smart thing. The nuclear thing goes up. Oh, I want to be dust. I want to get the hell out of here.
Mm.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm fighting for freedom, because if we don't unite for peace, we're going to die in war. End of story. It's right in front of our eyes. Right in front of our eyes.
I like your approach to protecting your mental health, first and foremost, whether that starts with your plants. I love that. I'm not as good as you at taking care of plants. My track record's terrible, but I like having them around. Cooking and preserving your physical health as long as you can. Like I'm all about that all day long. But most importantly, like creating those activities that separate yourself from the perpetual ping, ping, ping of news headlines, right? Yeah, it's such an important practice, and leading by example there's significant. Then you mentioned real estate, owning the three corners where you're at. But in addition, I'm similar. I'm heavily invested in gold, silver, and Bitcoin, just as a decentralized store of wealth with, there's no counterparty risk to owning an ounce of gold, right? Nobody can manipulate. Well, the internet's going to argue that, but there's no counterparty risk. It's in my safe. I own it. That's it. End of discussion, right? And so, yeah, I think, Luke Groman's an individual who I've had on this show a handful of times. And he mentioned something once that stuck with me, because he's not a gold bug, but, he said, throughout history, there's very few times where you want to own gold, but during those times, it's about the only thing that you want to own.
You got it.
It's along with land. I would put a couple other things in that bucket, right? Real estate being one, silver being another. But look, Gerald, this has been super fun. I love having you on and catching up. It's always entertaining and insightful. I want to get you up to my conference in Vancouver in January, so I'll send you all the details. We'll get you up there. That'd be super fun. And I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. May I mention one more thing?
Of course.
In these times when you see what's going on and the hysteria that goes on day after day, the fear and hysteria, all of a sudden you hear one day, the Russians hacked into our banking system. We're sorry, you won't be able to get your money out. So why would you keep money in the bank? They're giving you nothing for it. Why would you keep it there? So number two, when 9/11 happened, USA Today, when it was a big newspaper, used to cover my top trends every year. So one of the top headlines, we do the trends in December for January. So in December 2000, the headline in USA Today was 2001, the year of the War of Terror, won't be our year, Trendseer says. And I warned that a wave of anti-Americanism was sweeping the globe and Americans would be safe at home or abroad. 9/11. I'm watching CNBC. This arrogant guy that was the host at the time said, they say a plane hit the World Trade Center. Let's not get too excited about this. We're going to cut over now. We're going to go there. I'm having a cup of coffee watching it. And all of a sudden that thing happens. Woof. First thing I did was I called my girlfriend up at the time. I was living in Rhinebeck, New York at the time. And her name was Marie-Pierre. Marie-Pierre's brother, Francois, was the left shoulder of Jacques Chirac in Mitterrand, his bodyguard. And my close combat teacher, John Perkins, used to go to Palace Élysée and work out with them. I called Marie-Pierre up because they're saying the planes are coming down the Hudson River. And there's the nuclear power plant, Indian Point, about 40 miles north. I know the area inside out. I said, if they hit this nuclear power plant, there's going to be chaos like you've never seen in your life. So I told her, I said, Marie Pierre, get all your money out of the bank. Oh, Gerald, what? I said, get your money out. Here's what happened. Blah, blah. They refused to give her money. How dare you take it out at this time? And she was French and she's a fighter. She got the money. I called up the bank. I forgot it. They were merged with another one. I had certificates deposit back then. Used to get a good interest rate. I said, I want my CDs closed down and I want the money sent to the Rhinebeck Bank. I'm sorry, Mr. Celente. Wall Street is closed and certificates of deposit are traded on Wall Street. You can't get your money. Got it? So what I'm saying to people, prepare for the worst. If the worst doesn't happen and you're prepared, you lose nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If the worst happens and you're not prepared, you lose everything. And I believe that there's going to be a crisis where they're going to possibly close down the banks, the equity markets, or whatever. Remember, once upon a time, not too long ago in 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt told the American people, turn in your gold. Turn in your gold. You can't own it. All right.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't really dispute any of that. You know, I would say that I have no ability to predict what's going to happen over the next 5, 6, 10 years. But if I were to make an assumption, it's that the 2020s will be how the 2020s have been, which has been a continued escalation of unprecedented events, and so many of which, had you asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I would have stated that could never happen. I mean, here's a great example. You know, hindsight bias is amazingly strong. After something occurred, we all think, oh yeah, we kind of knew that was going to happen, but rarely in reality is that the case. You know, my wife and I were scrolling through Netflix in like December of 2019, maybe January of 2020. And there was some documentary called Pandemic, and it was kind of walking through like what would occur in the global pandemic. We saw it and we're like, that's stupid. That's never going to happen. This is like December 19 or January 20. You know what I mean? But that's, you know, I think we're fairly intelligent people, but, you know, obviously we know how the next 36 months have panned out. And I would argue that most of the world would have felt similarly, right?
Yep.
A few from a couple outliers. We have a horrible ability to predict the most consequential events of the future. So therefore, exactly what you said, like just be prepared for that black swan event, because you don't know what it's going to be or when it's going to be, but you can say with assuredness that it's going to happen, right?
Yep.
Those events will continue to happen as they always have, right?
And again, when all else fails, as the economies are failing around the globe, they take you to war.
Right. That's the playbook. Yeah. Look, Gerald, thanks again. Thank you. This is always fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you for watching this interview. Now, 3 things before I let you go. Number 1, I publish a weekly newsletter and I love writing it. I share my biggest takeaways and action items from the conversations that I have on this channel. In addition, my thoughts on current events, economic events, political events, and you can subscribe for free. Just hit the pinned comment right beneath this video, or just go to jmartin.club and you can subscribe on the website. I'd love to have you join the team. Number 2, ad revenue from this channel is donated to an organization that is super close to my heart called Zero Ceiling. Now, Zero Ceiling's mission is to end youth homelessness, and the way they do this is by giving at-risk urban youth the opportunity to relocate to beautiful wilderness areas and then provide them with supportive housing, career training, and just generally positive influences on their life. I love what they do. Check them out if you're interested. And number 3, if you prefer to listen to my content as opposed to watch it, you can find me wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for The Jay Martin Show. All right, thanks again.